Welcome to another edition of What Keeps You Up at Night, the life of a rural entrepreneur. And today we have with us Tanya Buttinger from Dogs on 3. Welcome.
Thanks for having me.
The first thing I'm going to ask is what led you to going into business for yourself? What professional and maybe even personal details of your life led you in that direction?
I knew this was going to happen. I actually knew this was going to happen from a very young age, oddly enough. I didn't know when it was going to happen and I didn't know how it was going to happen, but I just have always had that drive to do this. I've had, kind of the vision for a very long time. And I'm talking like since high school. I didn't know what it would manifest like, but I always knew that this was somewhere on the horizon for me. So when I look back now on my life and I look at all the steps I take, and some of them were very far to the side, but it all brought me to exactly where I'm supposed to be. So this has been a very long time coming.
We should take the time now to introduce Norman. He is part of the interview today. And have animals and dogs always been part of your life?
Absolutely. So this is Norman, and this is our miniature poodle. And he is probably, honestly, out of my 4 children, he's probably my favorite. Dogs specifically, not just animals, but dogs specifically have played such an important role in my life. And I've had a dog since I was a youngster, and my parents had a poodle. And when I look back, that dog, it lived a very long, healthy life. And I think we had it somewhere around 15 or 16 years. And, the dog knew everything. The dog got told all the good stories and all the bad stories. And I had hugged the dog and cried, and I've also hugged the dog and laughed. And it was really an incredible connection. And when people have a connection with an animal, it really fills a void that you might not even realize is there. And I know some people put off getting a dog because the time isn't right, or they're too busy, or they travel too much. But then once you get one, it's really hard to go without. I personally will never be without a dog.
I hear that. I'm very much the same. I wanted to ask though, and you bring that up, dogs are such an important part of a family. And so folks, when they utilize your service, they are trusting you with something really precious to them. So what is it that you do, that embodies your values and embodies the mission of why you started?
I started, this journey because I wanted to take my dog to be boarded somewhere where they would treat it as good as I treat it. And that's what we do. When you board your dog with us, we kind of, we basically adopt it for the amount of time that it stays with us. So we are a very heavily social-based facility, because isn't that what having a dog is all about? So all of our dogs, we don't have any no contact suites. And what a no contact suite is it's when a dog has an indoor outdoor run and there's like a guillotine door in between. So that dog could live in that space. It can go out when it wants, it can come in when it wants, but it's very low contact with human beings. All of our suites are interior suites. Every dog has to be removed from the suite by a human, talked to, pet, treated, interacted with. And then they're led out to their play groups. All of our overnight guests attend daycare all day, where then they have healthy play and socialization, exercise and enrichment with supervision by staff. And then they're interacted with again, several times throughout the play, but then again at mealtime, they are, led by staff back to their suite. And once again, they're settled in and, their blankie is put on their bed or their favorite Kong is delivered or whatever, or their yogurt covered waffle, whatever it is. They're interacted with and engaged with the same, love and companionship that they're used to getting at home.
Wow. That's pretty special. What obstacles have you faced going into business for yourself? What kind of challenges have you had?
Oh, wow. Well, I think the bigger question is, what challenge haven't I had? From being overextended on time, overextended on budget, the weather not cooperating during our construction phase, shipping issues, supply chain issues, we've kind of had it all. So at the end of the day, it took a lot longer to get where we thought we would be, but we got to the home stretch, and we're finally open now. And the ongoing kind of hurdles that we face every day are the unknowns, right? Like, what do the bookings look like for next week? What do they look like for the week after? We're learning, we're riding the wave of the peak seasons and the slow seasons, and which I'm sure every business owner and every entrepreneur navigates on the daily. But this is, for us, this is our first year. So, our growth has been, luckily our growth has been faster than what we anticipated. So that's a great thing. But maintaining that growth is kind of, something that we're also focusing on.
Have you had any specific instances of discrimination as a female entrepreneur?
Yeah, funny you should say that. I actually have. There has been, I've had some bumpy roads, me specifically. This is not a we, because during this process, my husband has had it much easier than I have. But I can tell you, as sure as I'm sitting here, I have had some issues with some, male-dominated trades who try to sell me something that I know I don't want or I don't need. Didn't give me enough credit for understanding that I had done my research. I knew some price points. So absolutely, as a female entrepreneur, I have had some challenges that other people would not have had. And, if I could find a female plumber, I would have hired her in a heartbeat. If I could have found a female electrician, I would have hired her in a heartbeat. I would have supported female first during our journey. It just wasn't available. But when it is, I will be the first person standing in line to support those people.
Well, that brings up another one. Another question is, do you think there's a difference between being a rural entrepreneur and an urban entrepreneur?
Well, for me, everything's more expensive in the country. Let me tell you that. I think there is, because the internet is very difficult to obtain and maintain with any quality. I mean, I can get internet, I just can't get good internet. So that's definitely one thing that really raises the prices. Even when you look at something as specific as when we were doing our construction, because our kennel is a purpose-built building. It is by design. It is not, a converted barn. It is not, a converted garage. This was built with purpose so that we could deliver the highest quality of service. But I needed a septic tank. I needed water lines brought in, and my water lines had to be brought in hundreds and hundreds of feet. And my septic tank, was a huge endeavor. So those kind of things definitely made being rural far more challenging than had I have been able to just secure a property in the city, pay rent, and kind of, go along my merry way. The thing about this industry specific is, there's certain caveats that come along with it. There's barking. There's a lot of waste from the dogs. So it's not a city friendly venture, which really that's why we chose to build it out here on our property, in Southwold Township.
I think I saw Norman whisper in your ear, pooping. Yeah. He didn't want you to forget. What keeps you up at night? What keeps you laying awake, trying to fall asleep, thinking about work?
Well, right now, I think one of the biggest burdens that I carry is the health and safety of the staff that we hired. They are first and foremost, the most important thing that makes the wheels keep turning every day. This is far too large of an endeavor for just myself and my husband to manage. It's, really 24/7, 365. So we would have no life outside of this adventure if we didn't have staff. So getting good staff, retaining good staff, keeping them happy, keeping them working, making sure that we have enough bookings to keep the wheels turning. Because, we're feeding people now, which is certainly not a responsibility that I take lightly. And it certainly wasn't something that I knew the weight of that would affect me so much when we did start building a staff.
You mentioned thinking about being an entrepreneur and feeling like you might be one even in high school. And I wonder if you think that it would be valuable for young people to learn that in high school. So to have a course that you could take about becoming an entrepreneur as a young person, even maybe public school, maybe high school. And I know some schools do it, but, kind of a mandatory course that, here's the things you need to know to go into business for yourself.
I think that would be great. It's one of those things where it was not meant to happen for me until now. I knew, it was always something that I was striving to work towards, but had I have known much earlier in life, a few more, I don't know, I call them tricks of the trade, but a few more avenues that I could have explored to make it happen earlier, I definitely would have. My deepest regret is that I didn't do this 10 years ago. That's my deepest regret with my entrepreneurial venture is that it was probably a little fear-based and probably a little lack of knowledge that made me think that I wasn't ready. So I think having not only an entrepreneurial class, but also that confidence building, the networking, all of it would have been really beneficial much younger.
Well, I saw that now. I don't know whether you've done it or not, but there was a pitch competition. So that isn't for everybody. What was that experience like?
Well, honestly, I think I blacked out when I was up there talking to people. I mean, it was easy to sit and write the business plan and submit it. That was the easy part because I knew my numbers inside and outside and frontwards and backwards, because at the end of the day, your plan's got to make money or it's not really much of a plan. So as far as that was concerned, I could have sat down with a piece of paper and told you everything. When the night of the pitch came around, the one takeaway for me with that was, because I thought I was going to get up there and I was going to say all the numbers and everything was going to be fine. But I was like overwhelmed and my heart was racing. And what I realized in that moment was how bad I really wanted this to happen. Like, this was how really emotionally connected I was to this business opening and succeeding, and that my brand was to be the best dog service provider that I could be. And that would be the reputation that I would maintain forever. I did this because I love dogs. Like, I love them. I never met a dog I didn't like. So and the money was also pivotal too. So, the money was, a necessary vessel to get us to the next step, which we used it to line our play yards with turf, because one of our business models was we want to keep the dogs clean. We don't want them dirty. We don't want to have to bath them every day before we send them home from daycare or boarding. And turf was the logical installation for that. So when I got up there and it really hit me how bad I wanted this and how close I was to the home stretch. And it was very emotional. I got to tell you, it was very emotional. My presentation was not the quality that I had hoped it to be. I kind of stumbled around and lost my words. And then I'll never forget there was like a timer sitting in a lady, she was keeping time. I only had 10 minutes, and she would wave a yellow card when you were near the end. Well, she waved the yellow card and I like lost it. I panicked and I wanted to say all these other things. And so it was quite the adventure. But the support that I have received, through the Elgin Business Resource Center has been phenomenal. Even after the pitch, it's completely worthwhile going into. Completely worthwhile, even if you don't win. I mean, it's easy for me to sit back and say because I won, but I'm telling you, the lead generation and the recognition and everything else that came with that. I don't want to sound off the cuff, but like even if I hadn't have won, it still would have been one of the best experiences that my business would have gone through.
That's so great to hear and inspiring. What's one thing about your industry that almost no one agrees with you about? Because you have some unique things.
Yeah, I do. So one of the things that is very, a hot topic in the industry right now is cage free. We have a very specific attitude when it comes towards cage free. Our dogs are free roam all day and as cage free as we possibly can be. But at night, they are separated. Now they are not, they're not in kennels that you buy at PetSmart. They're not in small spaces. We have actual suites. I mean, your space is either, 4x6 or 6x6 or 8x8. These are large bedrooms. They're all glass and stainless steel. They're beautiful. They're clean. They're disinfected. And a rested dog is a happy dog. So when you use these general population type sleeping quarters and your dog's not used to that, if your dog doesn't sleep with 12 other dogs every night, that's a really stressful situation. And so, if you see a dog all curled up with its back to the wall, it's not sleeping. It's actually protecting its organs and it's laying there, protecting itself. And then a lot of those dogs are very tired the next day because they have only slept in, fits and spurts. And then tired dogs are that much more difficult to manage. So our philosophy is, it's daycare all day, and then it's a healthy dinner. It's more playtime and let out, and then it's back, and then it's go to bed. The lights are off and the radio's on, and be in your own safe space, and we'll see you in the morning. We live on property. I'm 25 feet away from the kennel. And we have a full monitoring system that is wired to our phones, to the house, to everything. I can dial in and look at the dogs at any time. I can hear the dogs at any time. And then when we come back in the morning, they're, believe it or not, you can hear a pin drop until I touch the doorknob. And once the doorknob goes, they start to sing and bark and howl, and they know breakfast is coming in. And then we start the day all over again. But they're rested. And they're great to engage with.
That sounds amazing. I never knew that. I never knew about or thought about the cage free and sleeping with other dogs. It makes so much sense. What do you find the most gratifying about what you're doing?
The dogs, honestly. It's all about the dog. I don't even know I can't even lie. You know what I do in the morning? Here's my life. I go in, I go greet all my little fluffy faces. We go out for potty. We break up into daycare groups, and then I go make a coffee, and then I stand outside and I play with dogs. And then we rotate more dogs, and then I go make another coffee, and then I play with more dogs. And then, I mean, what's the worst part of my day? I got to scoop some poop, right? Like that is the worst part of my day. But other than that, like and you know what? I love when, I shouldn't say this, but I love when the parents come and pick them up, but they're not like running like crazy. They're not, freaking out that their parents are there to pick them up because they've enjoyed their stay. So I also really enjoy that. I like it when the dogs, they just walk in the lobby like, oh, you're here. And I mean, they're happy to see them, but the visit wasn't terrible.
That's really inspiring. Do you have a mentor, or who inspires you?
Sorry, that just cut out on me. Can you ask me that question again?
Yeah, of course. Do you have a mentor, or who inspires you?
Oh, wow. So I have several. Too many to name. And the thing is what is amazing about life is mentors have come and gone throughout my existence. And they've all come at times when I needed some guidance, and I've received the guidance that I needed. And then they, we've either moved on because I've switched careers, or, for whatever, someone's transferred or retired or whatever the case may be. But I have I can think of right back to high school. I remember, having that influence on me and thinking, if I had to make that decision, I'd want to make the same one. And then when I got into the working world, my first career, my first employer that I ever had after I graduated college was a huge influence on me, as far as I wanted to obtain, I wanted to achieve the levels that he had achieved, by his age and things like that. So, as far as the dog specific industry goes, my husband and I just came back from a conference in Hershey, Pennsylvania, for dog kennel owners. And we were just surrounded by just the top professionals, a lot of American influence, and they were just the nicest, most amazing people. And we made so many connections, and we networked with so many people, and we were inspired by so many ideas. And at the end of the day, the common link was we all love the dogs. I don't have to, sometimes I have to not talk about dogs as much because I worry about I have to kind of settle it down, because I feel like people are looking at me like I'm crazy because I get so excited about these, this one made this milestone, and this one, he really barked a lot the last time he stayed, but this time he didn't. So he was so, he's really getting used to it. And this happened in daycare. So sometimes I think I have to tone it down a bit, but I didn't there. Nobody had to. We all just, everybody could live their truth and be their, dog crazy self. And it was really amazing. So I really am blessed to have a lot of good people in my life.
Is there another career that you could do if you could do any other career and money was no object? What would it be?
I've arrived. I'm here. I am here. It has taken 52 years, but I am here.
Oh, that is so inspiring. My gosh. Wow. That's beautiful. And what's your advice for budding entrepreneurs? Somebody that may have been, in the audience watching you do your pitch, or somebody who has an idea, loves animals, loves dogs, loves flowers, or, has a real passion for something, and they're a little bit nervous to get started. What advice would you give them?
This voice has been telling me for a very long time. I have known it in my gut. I have known it, but I have turned the voice off so many times. And I think the reason why I turned the voice off so many times, my reasons were very female specific, right? Oh, I started a family. Oh, changed careers. There was always this is not the right time, or this is financially not feasible, or this is not whatever. But sometimes you have to just jump, sometimes you have to just jump. And when I say, like, I really jumped, like, let me tell you, my last transition is not for the faint at heart. I walked away from a government job, I will not see my defined pension. I cashed that in to, assist with this adventure. I had a very secure, safe future. It was very secure and very safe. What I lacked was the satisfaction and the happiness and the freedom that came along with living the life that I really wanted to live. So it would have been very easy to stay shackled in that lifestyle. But I just really had a moment where the truth kind of dawned on me. And I thought to myself, I'm 52. How many more years on this planet do I have left? And how do I want to spend them? And, if I get 20 more years, or if I get 30 more years, if I'm blessed enough to have that, I'm going out the way I want to go out now. I am kind of at an age where I'm done answering to other people, and I'm done doing things I don't want to do. And, it's about me now. So that's how I got to where I am.
That's incredible advice. I honestly could continue, chatting with you for probably another hour. But I really appreciate your time today. And thank you to both you and Norman today. He was a wonderful guest.
I can't get him to look.
He was looking at me earlier.
No,
he was. All the best to the two of you. You're really an inspiration. So thank you so much.
Well, thank you. And Norman thanks you for letting him sit on the interview as well.